You're listening to SM Media, the number one place for exclusive Scottish football content.
You have the heart of a giant, show it. You got the pride of a lion, roaring. Maybe you need big love, you don't need to give up. 'Cause something real is waiting there for you. You've been flying solo, now it's time to let go.
Hi folks, and welcome to our final SM Media Women's Football show of the season. I'm Scotty Pike. It's an absolute pleasure to be your host as always. It is, where do we even begin with this weekend? It's probably been the craziest weekend of women's football I can ever remember. I'm sure you'll all agree. And we have an all-star panel in the final weekend to discuss what was a crazy end to the season. First of all, it's a pleasure to welcome back Suzanne Mulvey. Suzanne, welcome back. It's a pleasure.
Thanks for having me again, Scott.
An absolute pleasure. And celebrating, obviously, getting into the playoffs. I imagine it's going to be a busy couple of weeks ahead for the SWPL 2 Player of the Season, one and only Amy Robertson.
Hiya, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you. It's a pleasure to have you on. And celebrating her promotion with Westdyke, it's a pleasure to welcome on the show Bethany Cochrane.
Thanks for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. Suzanne, I don't even know where to begin with this weekend. I've seen some league deciders in Scottish football, and I don't think I've seen anything like this weekend.
Oh, there's been absolutely nothing like this for, I mean, I say for a very long time, but it's never been this tight. You know, a couple of seasons it was kind of the same. You know, Celtic needed Rangers to win to possibly win the league, but no this tight at all. And I think as well, just the drama surrounding the last couple of minutes of the game just added to it. The fact that, you know, the whole of Celtic Park erupted and thought that Rangers had equalised, thought that the trophy came back to Parkhead, but no, obviously, you know, the goal was ruled out, and then obviously Glasgow City, you know, were kind of under pressure. The full game had a few chances, but, you know, it did look like Celtic were going to lift the trophy, and you can never ever write City off. You know, they've kind of got no right to be where they are in terms of the budget that Celtic and Rangers have got, and the names that they've got in their squad, you know, the depth of their squad. Glasgow City have got a few experienced players, but it's a lot of youngsters they've brought in. So for them to lift that title again, it's just absolutely phenomenal for the club. For everybody behind the scenes as well that worked really hard, because obviously they're a standalone club and not affiliated with a men's team. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think as well we need to pay tribute to Fiona McIntyre for I don't know if you saw the car journey she went on, but how do you get from one end to Glasgow to the other and that quickly with no traffic? I mean, that was unbelievable. It was.
Yeah, I mean, did she have inside information, or did she have a suspicion that, you know, it was maybe going to go to Ibrox? But yeah, I mean, it's a straight run along the M74, so not too bad.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a fantastic weekend. Amy, obviously you had a busy weekend yourselves. Obviously we got Gartcairn. We'll get into the kind of game later on, but you must have had a bit of a buzz, obviously, seeing the end of the season, the drama in the top league.
Yeah, it was. We should have, to be honest with you, we should have finished it the week before against St Johnstone. Throughout this season, we've had a couple of results that we weren't happy with. Like the one against Boroughmuir, that was a very, very low point for us. But saved everyone the hassle and finished it off against Stirling Uni 3-0. So yeah, we're delighted to be in the playoff. You know, Hamilton are a good opposition. They've had a no bad season. And they were so close, especially playing Dundee United. But yeah, we're looking forward to it at Broadwood Stadium.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get into that later on. Bethany, obviously, Westdyke clinched a promotion a couple of weeks ago. It was just as dramatic as obviously it went to the last day against Falkirk as well. What was the kind of feeling to secure promotion as well and playing in a championship next season, which is going to look really good?
Yeah, it was crazy on that last day. We knew in the weeks leading up to it that it was kind of, our results were going our way, but we also knew that it was all riding on that last day. So it was just kind of getting the buzz up in training the week before and getting the buzz on the bus on the way down, and the changing room was quite focused and intense, and obviously both teams were fighting for the same thing. So it was probably one of the most tense and fiery games that we've played all season. But obviously to get the result in the end was amazing, and it felt like it was such a relief because we'd been working so hard for it all season, and everyone was just absolutely buzzing. And it kind of still feels surreal, like not a lot of us can kind of believe it. as to where we were last season. It's just the difference in the squad and our league positioning is crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a fascinating season next season. We'll obviously kick off with the league the thrilling league final at Ibrox and Parkhead yesterday. Suzanne, it took to the 92nd minute. Lauren Davidson scoring a late winner. Again, it shows you just how tight this league was. It came down to a last minute goal. What does it say about Glasgow City? Obviously, like you mentioned there, Celtic and Rangers have put a lot of money in. Last season felt like it was going to be, like when Rangers won it the way they did, obviously unbeaten, it was going to be kind of Rangers would kind of carry the can, Celtic would be next, and then it would be Glasgow City would obviously need to kind of invest more to get back in. But what does it say about Glasgow City to come back and regain their title? Leanne Ross as well, fascinating statistic, first woman to win first female manager to win the league title. It's a massive achievement.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, I've played alongside Leanne Ross, and I think that's the one key thing to them winning this league this season. You know, for me personally, I feel, as I said earlier, they've not had the depth of squad that Celtic and Rangers have got. But her mentality and her focus that she had as a player, I think she's just carried that into her managerial career, and I think that's been key for them this season. She's got such high standards and expectations, and there's no way that you can turn up to a training session and not give 100% with Leanne Ross standing at the sideline. So congratulations to her. It's absolutely amazing, the achievement. Obviously the first woman to do it, fantastic. But in terms of the game, you know, Rangers had a lot of the pressure on, but you always say that, you know, champions find a way to win. You know, and they've done that, and it's not just been that game. There's been a few others, you know, throughout the season where they've got late goals or managed to just find a way. Players have popped up, Jenna Clark with a header, and obviously Lauren Davidson, you know, miles ahead of everybody in terms of top goal scorer for the season. So disappointing for Rangers. I feel that what they've lacked is the fact that, you know, they had Kayla McCoy, Jane Ross and Kirsty Hibbett, you know, banging in the goals. You expected them to have, you know, such a strong bench. No matter who comes on, it's going to make an impact. And the fact that obviously it's just, you know, Kirsty Hibbett who's kind of been the key striker for them. She's a fantastic player and she's scored great goals. But sometimes you just need to bring on another player to change things up. So I feel that kind of the injuries that they've had has been key to why they've not managed to, you know, get the results that they've needed. What I was going to say, and just in terms of Celtic, you know, a couple of late equalisers lately, you know, the one against the Rangers, the late winner against Partick Thistle, you're thinking, you know, their results, is that going to, you know, kind of be the result? Is that going to make a difference at the end of the season? And it almost did for them. But, you know, Glasgow City, they found a way. They always do. They always seem to find a way, and they've just, you know, they've done well, and I don't think anybody expected them to be in the position that they were at the end of the season, just needing to win the league, and they managed to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Amy, obviously you did a game on Sunday, but did you have an eye on the league decider, and what was your kind of overall takeaways from
it? Well, obviously with Montrose, they've had an excellent season. Really confident team, bagged in goals. Obviously it's a hard journey up there. They're all together. So fair play to Montrose, have done well. But for us, it was beginning of the season, we were doing really well. Getting as much points as we could, and then we did have a dip. We were losing a lot of results or not getting what we wanted in terms of results, but compared to Kilmarnock and St Johnstone, Boroughmuir, they were tight with us, but for us, we've just been promoted, and to them being a playoff again, we are playing teams that's already been in that league, so they've got more experience than us, but yeah, we've done well considering everything that's happened. We've lost players, we've lost coaches. So yeah, we're really proud of the team. Everything we've done, and we just hope that the playoff goes well.
Bethany, yesterday, obviously Glasgow City winning the league. Celtic and Rangers were obviously close as well. What was that? What was the advert like for women's football? I thought it was a brilliant advert. There was a lot of buzz in social media. Sky Sports had a lot of time on it as well. I thought yesterday was a brilliant day for women's football. I really do.
Yeah, I honestly, I think it's really great seeing it. It's so good because especially still being young myself, I still see all these young kids who are running about and they've got their Celtic tops on, their Rangers tops on, and you turn around and I've seen a couple of women's players on the back and I've been really shocked. It's really good to see. Obviously with them having big men's teams as well, obviously it's promoting it in a different kind of way, so you're kind of getting to the same audience and they're changing their minds and changing their perceptions on women's football, that it's getting better and it's the talent that's coming through, and so many different teams are doing so well, and it's really good to see it all getting a lot of coverage.
Yeah, it certainly is. Suzanne, the kind of other takeaways for the top league on Sunday, obviously Dean Gibson's left Hibs. Were you surprised with that? Because there was a lot of chat about it in the middle of the season. Then I was surprised when it came out the way it did.
Yeah, I think like you're saying, it was maybe expected kind of during the season. I think that because of the season that they had, I felt that they needed a change. He's done really well. There's been a lot of change in the squad, so he has done well. But it's just that inconsistency. I think a lot of people are tipping Joel Murray, player manager or assistant coach. But yeah, I just think they needed something fresh. I think the fact, obviously, you've got Rangers, Celtic, Glasgow City and Glasgow, but through in Edinburgh, obviously the big rivalry with Hibs and Hearts, and the fact that Hearts managed to finish above Hibs, is obviously, it's a big, massive kind of loss to Hibs, because they're, so used to being so high up the table, but the fact now that they're actually getting, beaten by their close rival. So I feel for them, they just, they need something fresh. They need them kind of a restructure to have a look at the players they've got and see how they can move forward and hopefully get above Hearts on the table.
Yep, absolutely. Amy, it's going to be Hamilton that Gartcairn will play in that playoff at Broadwood. They only could manage a draw with Dundee United. I think it's a marvellous achievement for the Dundee United to stay up. Hamilton as well, though, Amy, I don't think they've had a bad season at all, because I think a lot of people thought they would maybe be around about there. And it's obviously going to be a massive game. And what's your kind of assessment of Hamilton getting into the game?
Well, obviously we've played them in a few friendlies, and it was been close games. But they have got a lot of pace, like Ailey Austin. I used to play with her, and I've been playing her striker recently, and she's been scoring goals. They've been doing well. They've got Ailey Martin, Lucy Sinclair, so they are a very good side. I think they've just been unlucky with how their games have went. It has been close results, just like Dundee United, it was 1 each. So yeah, we will be watching their previous games and seeing how they've played, seeing how we can play against them, what their weaknesses are, what their strengths are. And yeah, we're just going to be looking forward to the game.
Brilliant. Bethany, two sides that have stayed up, obviously. Aberdeen stayed up and Dundee United obviously clinched it in the last day. Two sides that I would say were relatively happy with to solidify their place in the top league next season. And it's been a bit of a struggle for Aberdeen in particular, obviously, with the kind of managerial change and the kind of pool of players that they've been able to get. It's been difficult for them.
Yeah, no, I'm quite friendly with a lot of their girls, and they've said the same about they just can't really find a rhythm with. It's difficult when a team's going through changes in managers and obviously players. You're trying to solidify your starting 11, and with different managers coming in, they've got different views on different players, and different players react better to different managers. So it's never good when you're trying to solidify, especially in a top league like that. Other teams will have had their players and their managers there for years, and it just takes time to gel. It doesn't always work straight away, and I think with some of the results, it's kind of shone through a little bit.
It has that. Suzanne, SWPL 2, obviously Gartcairn clinched the second place, but that was another really exciting way to end the season as well. You had four sides realistically going for the one place. It was Gartcairn that won the day, but it shows you as well there's a lot of sides knocking at the door.
Yeah, no, definitely. Obviously, Montrose, were fantastic. Back-to-back promotions. No, a lot of teams can get that achievement under their belt. But yeah, for Gartcairn, I think I'd tipped them as my dark horses. At the start of the season review. So I just, obviously, I kind of know the management team and a couple of the girls, and I think they've got a great young squad, and I think that overall they probably have deserved it. I think most of the other teams that were pushing have kind of had, probably worse starts to the season. They've maybe started getting kind of good results near the end. So overall, I feel that Gartcairn have been a bit more consistent. You know, they've had some poor results, but I think that they do deserve it. And obviously the playoff against Hamilton will be really exciting to watch. Obviously Hamilton, you know, I've been in and around SWPL 1 for quite some time. They've been relegated, been promoted, so they've been through this a lot more. And obviously the players within the squad, like Lucy Sinclair, Josie Geard, they've got a lot of experience. So I think that that'll be, you know, obviously their best thing to use their experience, whereas obviously Gartcairn have got the youth and the excitement as well. You know, the prospect of going into that SWPL 1 for the first time as well. I think that that's obviously a kind of extra incentive that'll spur them on the day as well.
Yeah, well, that. Amy, the league, I thought at the weekend it was very exciting to see the kind of big results. Obviously, Gartcairn only needed a win. They got the 3-0 win at home at Stirling Uni, but you had Kilmarnock and St Johnstone going for it. Boroughmuir as well. We'll get into them in a wee second. It's been a really good standard, the SWPL 2 this season, I've thought.
Yeah, it's been really difficult. You know, some games, even when we went over to East Fife, you know, all they wanted to do was defend, and it's hard to break teams down when they're trying to play like that, because a point for them, they would take that. So especially going up to St Johnstone, their big grass pitch. Yeah, it's been really good. The team's been tough. Obviously, they've all had experience being in that league, and we've just been promoted to it. So we did take us a wee while to get used to the teams, how they play. And I think it was the same for other teams as well, to get used to how we played. And then obviously when they did, they got the results. So yeah, it's been really exciting. It's been a great league to be part of, especially with me just moving up from under 18s to into SWPL 2. It's been a good jump for me. So yeah, I've really enjoyed it, and hopefully it's the same for next season.
Yeah, absolutely. Bethany, quick news from the kind of SWPL. I'm keen to get your thoughts on. Obviously, Boroughmuir, Susie Shepherd left yesterday, and she has been replaced by the FC Edinburgh manager, Andy Enwood. I think Andy more than deserving of this opportunity. Obviously, you'll know Edinburgh, the way they played this year as well. Very good opportunity for Andy, and his team at Edinburgh are really good.
Yeah, I read about that today. I was a bit shocked that he'd taken that. Obviously, I know his team they'll be probably devastated about that, because they're such a good team. They're all they all know what they're doing. They just seem to just click. They make their substitutions and nothing changes, and a really, really difficult team to play against. All really, really strong in all aspects, and the type of team that you just sometimes feel like you're kind of chasing shadows. They know how to hold up the ball, and then they're easy to just hold on to it at the back and wait for you to run yourself into the ground, and then they'll just play it around you. And obviously it'll be a big miss for them, but we'll be facing them again next season, so we'll see what kind of changes their next manager brings in.
Yeah, absolutely. Suzanne, were you surprised with that? Obviously, like Susie leaving Boroughmuir at first, and then Andy Enwood leaving Edinburgh to go to Boroughmuir.
Yeah, I know Susie really well. You know, when I first stepped into the women's game at Hibs, Susie was our captain. You know, I'd actually love to see her going to Hibs. You know, obviously she started an absolutely fantastic move for her. I don't know what she's got up her sleeve for next, but yeah, a bit of a shock. She's done really well. They had a, you know, obviously what I was saying about Gartcairn, they've been more consistent. Boroughmuir had a really poor start to this season, and they've just started getting better results, and it's obviously been a tough season for Susie. But yeah, you know, to obviously leave after quite a number of years there, I hope that she does move on to something else. I hope that she has got plans, and that she's not leaving the game. But obviously, you know, in terms of the FC Edinburgh manager moving, obviously feels it's a step in the right direction. A lot of people feel that they need to, you know, make changes, whether it's up a league, down a league, or whatever, just, you know, for their own CV, for their career, to keep pushing and obviously challenging themselves in a new environment. I think that's important as well.
Yeah, it certainly is. Amy, the 4th of June is going to be a busy weekend, obviously, with the playoff with yourselves and Hamilton, but there's going to be another game as well. Stirling Uni are going to play either Rossvale or Renfrew. Rossvale obviously did themselves no harm at the weekend by beating champions Livingston, and it's all going to go down to a game on Wednesday night. Renfrew host Rossvale. Rossvale need a point to get the second spot, and it could be a really exciting game on Wednesday night.
Yeah, I think it'll be a great game. Obviously, I know players from either team, and that league is looking really good as well. It was really close between Rossvale and Renfrew. So they've got decent players, decent sides. I know Morgan Graham, I know they've got loads of players as well, like that's got experience. So yeah, I think that'll be a good game as well, exciting as well as ours.
It certainly is. I'm looking forward to that on the Wednesday night, and then obviously the playoff coming up. Bethany, Westdyke obviously clinched promotion to the championship last weekend. It's been a very interesting season. Obviously, Edinburgh won it quite well, unbeaten, but it was a tight race between yourselves and Falkirk. What was that kind of run in like, and getting that result in the last day? It must have been up there one of the best days you can remember in football.
Yeah, I'd say it is one of the best days that I've had. Obviously, I've not had that long a career in the women's game, and it's just coming up for 2 years. So it was manic. Obviously, I've never been in that position before. It was so many nerves before the game, and not just from like our younger players, but even our older players. We knew it would be a tough game. Obviously, we'd had very good results with them earlier on in the season. I think we drew with them, and then they beat us down at that stadium the last time we'd been down, and we knew what they were about. And we knew that they like to sit in and defend, and they would try and break us on the counter, and they would do the nitty gritty stuff that needs to be done sometimes just to get a result. And I think we played ourselves really, really proud that day. One of our best team performances all season, everyone working for each other, and just not kind of letting them break us down, and rising above the obviously the nitty gritty stuff that they felt like they had to do.
Suzanne, what about the kind of this season in particular with the likes of you? I found it more exciting with the kind of teams coming through. You've had the likes of kind of Livingston winning the league and FC Edinburgh and Westdyke coming up. It's been a fantastic season. It's been more in the kind of, I felt as well, don't know if you'll agree, but it's felt more of a buzz about kind of the kind of third and fourth tier and things like that. We're going to get into the playoffs and to get into League One in a wee minute. But there's a lot of teams coming through as well, and it just means there's a lot more people participating.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's the standard of women's football in Scotland is getting better. You know, there's more and more participants. And like what we were mentioning, you know, that SWPL, the fact that there was, 3 or 4 teams that could have got into that playoff, it just shows you how strong the second tier is. And then when you go further down as well, a special shout out to Rossvale going to the champions and try to ruin their title party, and knowing that you need that result, to put you in a really good position to get to the playoffs. They've done absolutely fantastic, and they're obviously in a really good position to make the playoffs. But yeah, it just goes to show you the standard is getting better and better. And I think that, we've obviously mentioned how amazing for women's football that, that title SWPL 1 championship was. But I think as well the excitement surrounding the other leagues as well, the fact that it's so tight, and, there maybe was a couple of leagues where there was, kind of runners, they maybe ran away with it a little bit, but there wasn't any massive gaps. And then the fact now that you've got the playoffs as well, it just adds to that excitement that, you're not just playing for that championship and then, a silver medal. You're actually playing for a chance to jump a league, or obviously to keep your position in the league that you're in. So it just adds to the excitement for everybody involved. And the standard is getting so much better. Obviously, I've been involved in women's football for such a long time, and I can see that the standard's fantastic. And obviously, it's it's the players, it's the managers, but also as well, you've got SWPL, SWF, the effort and time that they're putting into it, and the roles that they're giving to people, and it's just fantastic. The game's getting so much better in Scotland, and it's amazing. I think there's so many players that you could name that have paved the way to create this for these youngsters coming through, and I've played with so many fantastic players that never had the opportunity to play professional or to play in these exciting games. So I think that the youngsters here that we've got in today, like, you can obviously see how buzzing they are, how much they love it, the excitement. This is just kind of the start of their journey. So it's amazing to see from obviously a kind of neutral now looking in on it and watching the games. I absolutely loved it. The game on yesterday was absolutely amazing. I had both the games, one on the TV, one on my phone. So it's just fantastic to watch. And as you say, the excitement around the other leagues as well. It's brilliant. It's fantastic for a neutral.
Amy, what's it kind of like now, like obviously compared to maybe even like 5 years ago, just to see the progression in the game and to see a lot more people participating, and you've got a lot more leagues as well. It's just in a far better place than it's ever been.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. Like the other week there, I went to the Celtic game versus City, and the turnout was like 9,000 odd, and to Green Brigade and everything coming over, shouting for the girls. The support was really good, and even for Glasgow City, they had good support as well, travelling to Parkhead. And their Rangers game that had 15,000, was it? Something like that. So yeah, considering years and years ago, people wouldn't even batter an eyelid. It wouldn't even be on social media. So sometimes to find out a game, you wouldn't be able to, you'd have to go and see it to find out the result rather than seeing it on the telly or something like that. So yeah, it's amazing. Especially for me, like everyone that plays in SWPL 1 is someone I look forward to playing against, hopefully, in years to come, like Lauren Davidson. I used to play against her when I was younger. And now to see her go and scoring all the goals she's scoring, I think she's having an amazing season, especially playing with Glasgow City. I think Rangers are doing really well with their academy. They've brought a lot of players up. Obviously, Kirsty, Jodie and Emma are on professional contracts now, and they're bringing up players like Laura, Berry and all that. So I think they're doing really well in their academy. And it's exciting to see that young people do have an opportunity to play those levels. And it's amazing to see. I'm very delighted, and hopefully it just gets better and better.
Yeah, Bethany, would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's crazy amounts that the game has come on, and it's so good to see that there's so many more people interested in it, because it's the game has progressed so much. There's so much more talent now. There's so much more teams. There's so much more games and leagues to go and watch, and there's just never really a boring day when, as the leagues have been this season, so close and so tight. There's never really a boring game that you're always expected a show.
Absolutely, couldn't have put it better myself. Let's move into, we've got a couple of wee things to talk about before we wrap up. We have the small matter of the SWFL playoffs that are going to be taking place. 2 games on the 4th of June. 4th for Farmington against Bonnyrigg Rose, and Queen of the South versus Harmony Row. Now, I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on it, I'm pretty sure the winners of those 2 games automatically get promoted, and then the 2 teams that don't win will go into another playoff, and the winner of that gets the 3rd place. Suzanne, I want to come to you in particular for Farmington. I remember a couple of years ago, obviously, they were in a bit of a difficult position. I know you were there at the time. This is always a big opportunity for them to kind of make that step back up.
Yeah, going back many years ago, I always remember Gemma Fay turned around and says that Forfar will be one of the top teams. Watch this space, she says Forfar will be one of the top teams in the Women's League. And I think they actually had one season where they finished second. Right. I don't even know when it was, many years ago, but they finished second in the league. And I think it's because there's obviously that pool of players. Like, yeah, it's further north, but they had kind of the pick of the players from, like, the players that didn't want to play with Aberdeen and, kind of Dundee area, and even kind of East Coast. So, they've done really well, and they've, made cup finals, and they did fantastic. But then obviously, when I was up there as the assistant coach, we kind of played one cup game and then we had to fold. And it was due to the fact that the location, we just couldn't get the players in. So the fact that the team needed to fold, and then now, they've got the chance to kind of show that they want to be, back on the map for women's football. It's fantastic. They've got a fantastic facility up there. They've got some fantastic people involved in the club, and for me personally, it's fantastic to see that. Obviously, that they're back on the map, and hopefully, they'll keep progressing, because they've got a great academy there. They've got loads of young players involved as well. So it's absolutely fantastic for them. And obviously, it's kind of a team that I'm looking out for. I'll be looking out for their result and wishing them well.
Absolutely, Amy. Any thoughts in the SWFL playoffs?
Yeah, I think it'll be great games. With games like that, I feel like people just go into it and they're trying to stick to that game plan. But playoff games, it can go either way. It's just whoever turns up in the day, both good sides. So yeah, I think it's time for players to step up in games like that and show that they're willing to fight for their teams. They're willing to show that they're going to step up, be the leaders. And yeah, I think every playoff game is obviously must-win games. So it's just whoever deals with the pressure better. But yeah, every playoff game is exciting to watch, so I'm sure it'll be a great game.
Yeah, absolutely. Bethany, it's going to be an interesting weekend, obviously, with the SWFL playoffs. The 4 teams have all got a 75% are going up, but there's one team that will be unlucky.
Yeah, you never want to be that last team. I think it'll just make for quite a good competition. It'll be there'll be bad times in the game where the pressure and the occasion just gets to everyone, but at the end of the day, it's just all about the hard work that they put in on the day. You don't really want to be that one team that misses out, but unfortunately, there's going to have to be. It would hope that they would just make them come back stronger the next season, but yeah, you never really want to be that team, especially going up to what'll be League One. I'm just coming out of that league, and they're really strong teams that have obviously stayed up and been in the top six. So it'll be really good for those teams to get up and get an experience of playing against more physical and quicker paced teams.
Absolutely, it's going to be a very interesting weekend coming up there. And the 4th of June, the two teams that don't win will be playing on the 11th of June, and we'll have 3 new teams in League One. But we do have the small matter of a Women's Scottish Cup final on Sunday at Hampden, Celtic versus Rangers. Suzanne, I'm going to go around the panel and get a prediction from all three, so I'm going to put you all on the spot before we wrap up. I think with this is obviously it's going to be a great occasion, obviously at Hampden, but you've got two teams obviously who are going to feel hard done by for not winning the league. I think this has got the makings of a thrilling cup final.
Yeah, definitely, and obviously the crowds that they've both had recently, you know, at Ibrox and Parkhead as well. I think with that, the combination of that, if they all gather at Hampden on the day, and then obviously hopefully, you know, more people come along, it could be smashing, you know, any record that they've ever had before, and they've already done it, you know, the past couple of weeks, so it could be an amazing crowd, so an amazing atmosphere, but obviously just an occasion in terms of it's, you know, teams that finish second and third in the league, so you know they're right up there. Fantastic teams, fantastic squads. So it'll be very exciting game. Hopefully a great spectacle. Hopefully a lot of goals.
Who's going to win?
I think Celtic. I feel that they have had a better season in terms of, you know, they've qualified for the Champions League. They were closer to winning the league, although, you know, pipped at the post, but they were closer to winning the league. And head to head, they've, you know, just got the better record as well. I was hoping that you would come to me again before we finished here, because I'd just like to say, like, a special mention to Caitlin Hayes. I think that Lauren Davison, what a season she's had, absolutely fantastic, banging goals. Kirsty Howitt just back for injury as well, you know, smashing in the goals. Natasha Flint, you know, just coming in and what a player she is as well, you know, and gets the ball deep, you know, shoots for distance, really exciting. But a lot of time, you know, the defenders on the mention, and I think that the goals, not only the goals that Caitlin Hayes has scored, you know, the last minute equaliser, last minute winners, but just all round what a performance. She just lifts the team, you know, the fact that she's so composed, so powerful at the back. So for me, you know, she's absolutely player of the season, and I'd love to see, you know, for a season that she's had, I'd love to see her winning something. You know, obviously Rangers won the League Cup, Glasgow City have won the league, so it'd be good for her, and of course I know Kelly Clark quite well. It'd be good for her to lift the Scottish Cup. And you know, just touching on Rangers as well, you know, they've had a disappointing season. They've won the League Cup, but not making that Champions League. When you've been in the Champions League and you've experienced that, to not get that again, you know, it's such a big, massive, not only kind of confidence, but also as well kind of financial loss as well, you know, for a club like Rangers who have got a big, massive budget. But, you know, back to the result, I do think that Celtic will just kind of put them at the post.
We'll come back. We'll get a scoreline finally at the end. We'll get a scoreline at the end. But you fancy Celtic. Amy, it's going to be a very interesting weekend. As Suzanne mentioned, obviously, we could see a record crowd. We could see, obviously, a really thrilling game. It's going to be a massive occasion.
Oh, I think it's going to be a great game, especially with how the two sides have been battling against each other throughout the season. Obviously, Rangers beat Celtic last time 1-0. Very, very close game. Considering how their game went against Glasgow City, you don't know if they're going to be disappointed with themselves and maybe that will affect them on Sunday, or if they're willing to fight again for Sunday, especially not getting Champions League football now. So how they deal with that is up to them. They should be ready to go, ready to prove a point that yes, they didn't win the league, but they're willing to win this cup and battle against Celtic, who yet finished second. And for Celtic, I think they will just sneak through with the result. I think that watching them, they've been excellent. They've had an excellent season, and they were unlucky because they done everything they could do. They beat Hearts 2-0. and everything it was out of their hands in a way. I think Fran has done really well with his team. They're really together, watching them play, really fast. So yeah, I think they will sneak through. Unlucky for Rangers, I do think they've had a good season, but with the results, I just think some of the games wasn't good enough for them. And obviously they'll be disappointed with the Champions League football that they're not getting that. So I think it's if they don't win on Sunday, I think for me they've really got to win near enough all 3 trophies next season, because I do not think they'll be happy enough with just 1 trophy. With City winning the league, Celtic will be looking for this trophy. This is their 1 trophy this season, so I think they'll be looking more for it than Rangers will be.
Bethany, what's your thoughts? We'll get a scoreline at the end, but what's your overall thoughts? Where's this game going to be won and lost?
Yeah, obviously, as everyone said, the Rangers they're going to be really disappointed not being in the Champions League football next season. But I think as well as that's disappointing, you can use that as the fire that they need to maybe pull out a performance and get their 2nd trophy of the season. But again, Celtic are going to be again disappointed that they've not gotten a trophy this season, so they're going to feel like they need a wee bit of redemption. Both teams have their fire and their ammunition that they need to go out and put on a strong performance. It just whoever plays up for the occasion, whoever turns up on the day. But yeah, I do. With looking at the recent results, I do think Celtic are going to come out on top on the day, and it would be good for them to have the share of trophies over that league, because as it's been so close all season, there hasn't really been a team that would deserve more than the other. So I think it'll all just come down to who wants it more.
Absolutely. I'll start the score prediction off. I think it's a really tight game. I echo Suzanne's thoughts completely on Caitlin Hayes. I think she's had a terrific season. I think the likes of Jacinta and Amy Gallagher, a lot of players in there, they've all had terrific seasons. And I think it would sum up this season if Rangers obviously won the SWPL Cup, Glasgow City win the league. Celtic, I think it would sum up if Celtic won it. It would just show you how tight it's been. 3 different teams winning 3 different trophies. I think Celtic win 2-1. I think it'll be a really tight game. I'm looking forward to it. I fancy Celtic to win this, so I'm going to go Celtic 2-1. Suzanne, give us a scoreline.
I think it'll be really tight as well. I don't think there'll be kind of more than 1 goal in it. But just kind of echoing what I said before, I feel that Rangers just haven't quite got the firepower. You know, Hayes a fantastic player. Lizzie Arnott's had a quiet season, but she's a great player. Mitag controls the midfield. Kirsty Howard bangs in the goals. But I feel at times they're just a bit predictable, and they've not got the depth of squad that they have had in previous seasons. Whereas I think with Celtic, you know, they've literally got goals all over the park. You know, Hayes, Clark, Craigie bangs in some goals, you know, so their midfield, their defence is full of goals, their midfield is full of goals, and obviously up front as well. So I think that it'll be tight, maybe 3-2, 2-1, but I do think that Celtic will just win by the 1 goal.
So we've got 2-1 goal margins for Celtic. Amy, what's your thoughts? Give us a wee score prediction, please.
I think it will be obviously a tight game, but I do think with how Celtic's been going with their goals, I do think they're going to win comfortably. I think they'll go 3-1. I'm going to go for Celtic, because I just feel like they are more clinical in front of goals than Rangers have been, especially against Glasgow City. So the amount of chances Rangers had, and they just couldn't finish it. As much as their goal scorers like Kirsty Howard, she's had a great season, but I think they do need to provide more players with goals than just Kirsty Howard. Whilst with Celtic, as Suzanne was saying, they've got defenders that can score, midfielders that can score, and attackers that can score. So I think Celtic will be winning 3-1.
3 votes for Celtic. Bethany, what's your overall scoreline prediction?
Yeah, just what everyone's been saying. I think it'll be really tight, obviously. If it's not a draw for the most part of the game, I do think Celtic will sneak in at the end there. I'm going to go with 2-1 as well. Just because I've seen their recent results, they've had a couple of late winners, and like Suzanne said again, you've got ability to score from all over the pitch, which is always great in a cup final. You just need your big players to step up for the big occasion.
Yeah, absolutely. So 4 votes for Celtic. We're thinking it's a bit tight game. I think we're all going to be looking forward to this game. I think it's going to be really, really exciting. And we're going to wrap up the show there. It has been an absolute pleasure to do this show this season. We'll be back next season, but it's time for a break as the season kind of draws to a halt. Suzanne, I want to thank you for your help this season in the show. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
No problem at all. Thanks for having me. And again, well done to yourself. You're promoting the women's game and you're doing a fantastic job. So it's greatly appreciated for everybody involved in football.
Thank you very much. Amy, thank you very much for coming on the show and best of luck in the playoff.
Thank you very much. Just echoing what Suzanne said, you've done really well promoting women's football. Not much people are willing to do that, especially with the women's side. So yeah, we all appreciate it and we love seeing your posts.
No, thank you very much. It's really kind. And Bethany as well, congratulations on your promotion. Thank you very much for going on and best of luck for next season in the Championship.
Thank you. Just again, echoing what everyone said before, it's been really great to see all the posts all season, and I'm sure all the teams love it. It definitely gets up the team spirit when seeing your players and stuff in your wee polls. So it's just been great for the women's game all around.
Thank you very much. I will assure everyone that wasn't part of the script. Thank you very much to everyone who's tuned in. Thank you very much to everyone that's tuned in. Please subscribe and like our podcast and YouTube channels. And we'll be keeping you updated with all the playoffs from now until the end of the season. Thanks very much, folks. We'll see you soon. Cheers.